This might be the most anticipated game this year on this channel. Howdy, friends and floor heads. We are playing Jason Cordova's Brindlewood Bay. As you can already see, if you're a fan of this channel, we have got an all-star cast, and we're going to go through and meet everybody, but let's set the scene for those of you not familiar with this game. All four of our players have a character, and their characters are older in years, widows, and they all live in the mid-'80s in a place called Brindlewood Bay. Now, Brindlewood Bay is a small coastal community in Massachusetts. It was a whaling town back in the 19th century, but now it's basically a tourist place. They have fishing tours, they have old homes converted to bed and breakfasts, and if there's one word we're going to use to describe this town, it's just really cozy. And all four of our characters have been brought together and are close friends for one reason. They love to read mystery novels. And they have a favorite author and a favorite series. And we're going to learn who that is as we start playing. But we need to meet our Mavens. They call themselves the Murder Mavens. The four of them get together on a regular basis at the Crow and Quill bookstore to talk about books. Navi, I want to start by learning about Jackie Smith.
What do you want to know?
I want to know, how would you describe Jackie Smith's style?
Amazing. Did you not see how composed, beautiful, classic?
And you have a thing you like to do to relax, to unwind, and it's called your cozy activity. So when Jackie kind of needs to shed the day, get rid of all the stress, what is Jackie's cozy activity?
Jackie's cozy activity is antiquing.
Ooh,
She
nice.
knows every place in town. She waits for her much beloved and respected peers to kick the bucket so she can get to their estate sales because she's been looking at their stuff for the last few decades.
The first place you go in the newspaper is the obituaries for your shopping list.
Does she take inventory at parties?
Absolutely. Just taking notes and
everywhere you go.
How you been feeling, hon? That's a beautiful end table. Oh, that's fantastic. So next, I need to learn about what we're going to call your cozy little place. And this is where you, Jackie, feel the most comfortable, the most safe.
Behind her house, there is an old conservatory. It's kind of in a little bit of disrepair. It has a few cracked windows. She doesn't use it for plants anymore. It's been turned into a place to refinish furniture. So whenever you can't find her in the house, she's not answering the phone. The phone's ringing. She's ignoring it. She's out in the conservatory.
Excellent. Now, I mentioned you are a widower. So I would like to learn a little bit about your deceased partner or partners.
No, her deceased partner is Madeline. She was what you would consider a crusty old master sergeant. She was a very cranky, bear-like kind of person. Tended to yell first, so if you ask for anything, she's going to yell no first, and then just wait a few minutes patiently, and the answer always turns to yes, with an apology.
And did you guys have any children?
We had no children.
Did you have any pets, and do you have any pets?
We had cats. They were hers. There are no longer cats.
Okay.
They mysteriously disappeared.
And before you retired and just found your cozy little place here in Brindlewood Bay, what did you do?
Moi?
Mm-hmm.
Work?
Excellent. Excellent. So now my three other murder mavens, we have now heard a lot about Jackie. And one of the things that we can do is we can give Jackie for this session 3 things that she has in her cozy little place. Now, these things that we're going to give her are going to be things that she can find in her cozy little place. And she also can mechanically use them on her rolls one time in order to get a bonus. So who has an idea? What is something we would find in this conservatory? What does Jackie have there? Shadika?
I think she has a stack of obituaries.
Okay. So, Jackie, let's add a stack of obituaries.
Sounds
She-
good.
All right. Elsie, what do you think is in that conservatory?
I think that there is a very large, ornate gilt mirror.
What's a gilt mirror?
Gilt, like gold
Oh,
gilt
Oh,
around.
guilt. I'm thinking like guilt,
Guilt.
like guilty. Okay.
Guilty. You might feel
large-
guilty for having it
Excellent.
after scoping it at one of your friends' houses
Perfect.
previously.
And Maud, what do we think Jackie has in her conservatory in her cozy little place?
I apologize for this. I apologize. But your deceased partner long ago had this cat that she loved. And so when it died, she had it taxidermied. And you just could not, for whatever reason, bear to get rid of it. So this cat stares at you constantly from a corner of the conservatory.
What's the cat's name, Jackie?
This is great.
Um, Nanners. It's a yellow
Nanners.
tabby.
Okay, so we have stuffed nanners. That is your third. That is
Also,
your
Donald asked if on the chat if Jackie has the best chicken noodle soup because she's perfected it from checking up on all of her sick friends.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's perfection. It is. It truly
All
is.
right, so now you know what I did not ask you, Jackie? You get to add 1 point to one aspect. So where
Mhm.
did you what is Jackie exceptionally good at?
Composure.
Composure, excellent. Geraldine. Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, hello.
Now I can hear you. So Geraldine, I want to know, how would you describe your style?
Leather Jacket Club.
And when you need to relax, what is your cozy activity?
She can't work as hard as she did before, but she loves working on her BMW R100 motorcycle with a sidecar.
Beautiful. And when you want to get away from everybody, be alone, unwind, what is your cozy little place?
In their family home, her and her husband, before his passing, created a side house to where they can actually work on automobiles. So she'll close the garage door, put on some lights, not candles. Terrible idea to have candles in there, and just sit back and listen to music.
All right. So we heard about you mentioned our deceased spouse. Can we learn a little bit about that?
Yes, you can. Well, which one?
Oh,
So,
let's talk about the most recent and which marriage that was.
okay. So her second marriage, she was with her soulmate. First one, she doesn't necessarily count. It was a mistake.
Starter
But her
marriage.
second, yeah, starter marriage, training wheel marriage. So her second husband, absolutely her soulmate. Everything I wanted in a guy. So, he was rugged, handsome. They had 3 children, 2 boys, 1 girl. The perfect family household.
Beautiful. Any
And
pets?
not any longer. Her last pet passed, and it was a Doberman.
Excellent. Excellent. Where did you assign your extra point, Geraldine?
Oh, I assigned it in sensitivity.
Beautiful. So you went from a -1 in sensitivity to a 0 in sensitivity. You have
Oh
more
yeah.
connection than anybody to the spooky stuff. I like that. Your career before you retired.
So with my husband, we had a mechanic shop. So I pretty much was a stay-at-home mother, and then I just kind of assisted at the mechanic shop, which is why I know how to set up my own motorcycle. But he worked a lot harder than I did.
Okay. All right. So now we need to give Geraldine something to put in her little garage. So let's start with Maud. Maud, when we go into Geraldine's cozy little place, what do we find?
There is a just a refrigerator there, and on the refrigerator is magnets from every little location that she and her husband went on, just on little, on their motorcycle rides. So there's one for like most of the 50 states, and the little like weird tourist places and things like
All
that.
right, so we're going to say refrigerator magnet collection. That is your first item. Elsie, when you go to visit Geraldine, what do you see in her cozy little place?
Geraldine has a top-notch, high-end toolbox full of really quality tools that she
Excellent.
carries around with her, but it usually sits in the corner of her garage.
Beautiful. And Jackie, last time you visited Geraldine and she was in the garage, what did you notice in her cozy little place?
I feel like Geraldine has a collection of calendars that they're functional, but I feel like they're very much like the pinup version of motorcycle. So just sexy motorcycle calendars.
No people, just sexy
Just
motorcycles.
sexy motorcycles.
All right, so a sexy motorcycle calendar collection. Time for us to meet Maud. So Maud, how would you describe your style?
Maud, well, let me tell you, honey, her style is all about Southern class, and it's all about presence, and it's all about making a statement. Everything is bright. She's always got her pearls on. She's always got these big earrings on. Her makeup is always immaculate. And anytime you see her, like even if you walked in her door at 7 in the morning, she is already done. It is impossible to catch her without makeup on.
And when Maud is by herself and just needs to unwind, what is Maud's cozy activity?
Well, you see, when she was between husbands one day, she got into a little funk and she started watching PBS, and she saw this gorgeous man with this big afro painting all these beautiful landscapes, and she just decided that well, first she was just watching it because he was just mwah. But then she thought, maybe I could do this. So she paints.
Excellent. 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 Where did we assign our extra point?
We put it in presents, honey.
And what is our cozy little place?
So she, in the back of her house, she has this giant solarium with these big glass walls where the sun comes in, and she has turned that into a paint studio.
All right. How many partners and what was the most recent?
Hold on, I have a spreadsheet.
Okay.
So Maud has had 4 husbands: George, Harold, Randall, and Macon. They all loved her very dearly, and they were all very rich, but sadly they have passed on. Now, her 2 children are completely convinced that all of her husbands died simply to get away from Maud's talking. So her 2 children, Doris and Mike, have 5 grandkids before them. There's little Jim, there's Aiden, there's Nora, there's Jason and Olivia. And Olivia has 1 great grandchild, Autumn, but they moved all the way out to California. So, she hasn't seen him in a while.
Okay. I think I know the answer, but I've got to ask it. Did Maud have a career before she retired?
Actually, yes, she did.
Oh.
She was in the party planning business. If anyone of because all of her husbands had lots of money, and she loves being around people. So she would plan parties for some very, very important people back in the day. And even if you go into her house, you can see these little signed pictures of people that she did parties for.
Beautiful. Elsie, last time you went to go visit Maud and went to her little paint studio, what did you see there?
Oh, Maud in her little paint studio has a set has a really nice little jewelry box in there, and has an absolutely gorgeous set of pearls that always seem to slightly spill over the edge of it.
All right, so jewelry box.
Jewelry box.
And Jackie, what did you notice last time you were there?
Last time I was there, I noticed that she has a spectacular set of painter's brushes, and I noticed them because they happen to be very valuable antiques, and I want to know where she got them from. But because she knows me, I can't ask.
How you feeling, Maud?
I mean, Maud is. I think Maud might actually be the oldest. I decided that Maud is like 72.
Oh, we don't
So-
talk about age. We don't talk about age.
Yeah, it's not
Honey, I'm
something
still
to ask
20.
someone.
And,
I know, I just
and,
turned 30.
and Geraldine, what did you happen to notice in Maud's studio?
Oh, last time I was over in my studio, I found the most interesting little black book that she's been keeping around. Now, it was a lot of gentleman names that probably held her interest at some point in time, and those that may hold it now.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So at the beginning of every session, to really kind of set the cozy feeling before I mess it up by killing somebody, what we do is what's called the cozy vignette, where each of you get a chance to spend a minute or two describing a day in the life. And what I would love to hear is I'd love to hear just 2 or 3 minutes about Jackie and her cozy little place. Can you describe that for us?
Oh, I think if you zoom in on Jackie right now, she's sitting on the floor. She's got a kimono. She's looks a mess. Her hair is like up in a ponytail. It's ridiculous. She wouldn't answer the door. She's got a big armoire, Edwardian armoire in front of her, and the phone's ringing somewhere in the distance. It just doesn't bother her. She's got tea in one hand, and then in her mouth, she's got a etching tool as she's trying to redo the inlay on this Edwardian dresser. So the tea can't possibly go in her mouth at the same time as the tool, but she's decided that like this is how she works. So she's peeling out the parts that have chipped over time and have away from the warped edges, and she's prepping it to be completely re-inlaid so that she can take it to the auction.
And we cut to Geraldine. Geraldine, what are you doing in your cozy little place?
Looking into Geraldine's life, you hear the music that is flowing outside of her garage currently. If there's neighbors near her, she doesn't care. So there may have been a few times local police have probably come around like, hey, can you turn it down, sweetheart? No, I surely cannot. This is my property. So as she's sitting around looking at her beautiful bike, and like, I'm going to make it purple. We got to change up this color. It's not working. And she's kind of doing a little fussing about the color of her bike as she has her riding glasses out on the side, opening up the garage door to get some more air and let some more of the good classic rock music play. And she's just having a good old time by herself.
I just realized, did I skip over Elsie?
I think we did.
I
Yes,
did.
yes, you did.
That's awful. Awful, awful, awful. Elsie, I am so sorry.
It happens. It's
I
okay.
need to learn about Elsie's style.
Elsie is very like loosey goosey. She wears like long, like caftan style dresses with like a shawl thrown around her shoulders, and she's got like jingly bells around her ankles, and she's got this crazy long red hair with just like shots of gray through it. She's very boho and free.
And when Elsie wants to relax, what's her cozy activity?
Elsie's favorite thing in the world is to retire to her kitchen and spend the evening baking. She absolutely loves creating delicious sweet treats.
And what is your cozy little place?
Oh, my cozy little place is gonna be my my kitchen above my bookstore.
How did you get this bookstore, the Crow and Quill?
I used my late husband's insurance money to move to the coast and set up my little dream space.
Excellent. And so, do you live above the bookstore?
I do. I have
Beautiful.
just a cozy little studio apartment up there.
And where did you assign your extra point?
Oh, I put my point into presence.
So
She is
charming.
definitely noticeable when she walks in, smelling of patchouli and champagne.
All right. So, tell me a little bit about your deceased partner.
Oh, that was Owen. He was a very, very taciturn, very stoic and quiet, but very hardworking man. Good provider for his family. Went to work every day at the coal mine and took care of his family.
So, speaking of family, do we have any children?
Yes, 3, 2 boys and a girl, but they're all grown and married and have kids of their own, living their own little lives.
Any pets?
Oh Lord, the bookstore is just crowded with cats. There are so many. Like it's kind of hard to tell exactly how many there are because they're not ever all in one little location, but between my apartment and the bookstore there are just so many. So many cats.
And did we have a career before we retired to the
No,
coast?
I've always been a homemaker. Take care of my kids and my home.
Jackie, the last time you were on the second floor of the Crow and Quill and Elsie was there baking, what did you notice?
Elsie has a fantastic set of like sugars, unusual sugars from
Ooh.
like palm sugar and date sugar and coconut sugar. What? Why do you need all of this? It's amazing.
It is amazing.
So a collection of exotic sugars. Geraldine, what did you see last time you were up there visiting Elsie?
On her chair that she'll kind of sit in as she is relaxing, waiting to either finish cooking or prepping, there's a nice, comfortable, cozy, just wraparound sweater.
Uh, and Maud, what did you see last time you were up there?
She has this aesthetic and it's very like hippie flowy aesthetic, but the thing that like really like catches you off guard is she has this like very basic apron that just says "kiss the cook" on it, and she's never given us the full story on it, but it's clearly like a very loved item that just doesn't quite fit the rest of the aesthetic for some reason.
And before we jump back forward in time to where we do Maud's vignette, I do want to remind all 4 of you, these are your 3 items to use this session. So anytime you think that one of these items that you've been given could help you and give you an advantage on a move, make sure you bring it up. But we are going to cut now to Maud and her cozy little place for her vignette.
Well, so Maud is she's working on a piece, and she's got her little coffee cup, and then she's got her paint cup with her paintbrushes, and there's a second where she picks up the paintbrush cup and goes to drink it like coffee and goes no, and she looks down and I forgot to mention that she has this little pug dog, and his name is Sassy Pants, and yes, and she looks down at Sassy Pants and she goes, "Oh, darling, that was about to be a close one. That would not be the perfect way to wake up, now would it?" And so she just spends her morning with the morning sun coming in through the solarium windows, painting and talking to the dog. It's almost like a constant narrative with Maud. I mean, even when she's by herself, she's talking.
Elsie, I want to cut to the second floor of the Crow and Quill and do your vignette for me.
Well, we're just starting the day, so she wakes up rather lazily and she just kind of shuffles into her little kitchen, which is like smelling of sugar and cinnamon and vanilla just perpetually. And she's going to wrap a little shawl around herself and make her a little cup of tea and wander over to where her favorite little kitty, Poe, the solid black kitty, is naughtily up on a counter, and she's just going to give him some scritches and lazily enjoy her tea, turn on the radio to a bit of like heavy trumpet jazz, and just kind of sway a little bit in her morning.
We're now going to cut to what is a really big day in Brindlewood Bay. For whatever reason, maybe because it's Massachusetts, maybe it's because all of the other holidays are just too common, but today is St. Patrick's Day, which is by far the biggest holiday in Brindlewood Bay. And part of the reason is St. Patrick's Day is the only day where there is a parade at Brindlewood Bay. So we are going to cut to the front of the Crow and Quill. The parade is about halfway through. People are stacked 3 deep on the sidewalks as these homemade floats are going by. And we can see 4 folding chairs in front of the Crow and Quill. This is prime real estate for the parade. And our 4 Mavens have been looking forward to this all month. All 4 of you are there. The sidewalks are crowded, and I want to do something in this game which is called Paint the Scene. I'm going to give you a prompt, and I would like to hear from each of you a response. So each of you are looking around the crowd, and you're watching the parade. There's faces everywhere, but all 4 of you notice the same person. I need to know who they are and what makes you really uncomfortable about them watching the parade on the opposite side of the street from you.
Hmm.
Who wants to tell me who that is?
I'm going with the classic. That's old Fred. He's the cemetery keeper.
Maybe.
Never leaves the cemetery.
And what is it that's making each of you uncomfortable about seeing Fred on the other side of the street?
Honestly, seeing Fred in daylight is making me uncomfortable seeing him out in the street. That man does not leave the cemetery
Never.
for no reason ever.
And he's also complained very loudly to everyone about just how much of a mess that the parade leaves. And he has petitioned the city council to stop the parade every year for the past 10 years.
Maybe he's carrying a sign in protest. What do we think is on that
Protest.
sign? Elsie, what do you see written on that sign? How is he protesting this parade?
Well, he's not the brightest, as we know, so it probably is just like cardboard. So it says just something simple like and like stop the parade. Straightforward, to the point. There's not
No
really
more
any
fun.
nuance or play on words.
Please tell me one of the letters is backwards.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the P. It's the P. And stop.
So as the parade continues, everybody's having a ton of fun. And traditionally, what happens is as the parade, the last float goes by, the kids start to pour out from the sidewalk to follow the last float. And the reason they do that, we're going to find out in a moment. And we're also going to realize why you have the prime real estate for this Brindlewood Bay parade. Because as you look to your left, you hear speakers, crackly, cheap speakers blaring out Irish music. And you see the second to last float. And it's a rickety float, just like every one of the Brindlewood Bay floats. On it, there are children in kind of do-it-yourself leprechaun costumes jumping around. And coming out from the center of the float is a balloon rainbow. And it stretches across and lands on the last float. And where that balloon rainbow finishes is in this huge paper mache, poorly painted, fake pot of gold with fake little gold pieces along the top where the balloon rainbow dives into it. Now, the reason all the kids are following is because when the parade stops, that last float is going to dump the pot of gold out, and it's full of candy. So we're watching the second float go by. We're seeing the kids. The costumes are starting to fall apart, right? The different, like, just fake little ears and stuff. They've just been doing this for most of the morning. People are getting excited. You can hear the children as they've gathered and have started following this last float. And the last float comes, and it comes to a stop. The music kicks in, and we can hear Whiskey in a Jar playing probably a little louder than it needs to be. It's cracking the speakers a little bit. The kids are starting to shake, getting anticipation of the candy that's about to dump out. And we hear a rickety old mechanism that goes, and we see the huge 6-foot-tall paper mache pot of gold just dump candy onto the street right in front of the Crow and Quill. And like moths to the flame, kids just dive and start crazily picking up all of this candy until we hear the little girl scream. Suddenly, the little girl's scream spreads and other kids start screaming. And we see parents now trying to filter their way through the crowds on the sidewalk to find their children. And they're just swooping in, grabbing their children and pulling them away. Nobody knows what's really causing this to happen. The music stops. There's an eerie silence on the street. And as the kids start to peel away, we can see why the screaming started. In the pile of candy, there's a body.
Oh, that's not food.
A dead body. Now, all four of you immediately recognize who this is or who this was. It is Greg Shipley, one of the most famous people that live in Brindlewood Bay. Now, you see, Greg was a very, very well-known first chess champion. He is also a multimillionaire because he came up with a thing called the Fit Fork. The Fit Fork is the fork that counts your bites. It is the only cutlery that will let you lose weight. When he retired from all of the great revenues from the Fit Fork, he came to Brindlewood Bay. He joined the local chess club, wanted to maintain his celebrity by playing against all the locals. And then he weaseled his way in to take over the hosting of the very popular chess tabletop talk show on the local radio station, WBAY. So between the radio show, his former status as a grandmaster chess champion, and possibly the richest man in Brindlewood Bay because of the Fit Fork, the only fork that will let you lose weight, everybody knows who Greg Shipley is. Now, the one thing all four of you know is Sheriff Dale Ripple, the almost competent sheriff of Brindlewood Bay. He was on the first float. He was in the car leading the parade. My four murder mavens, you have a little bit of time before the authorities show up.
Yeah, Gerald, gonna hop up as slowly as possible, hop up, and kind of make my way to the body, making sure all the kids have been shooed and their parents picked them up.
I get the kids to their parents.
No.
Elsie, you're helping kind of get everybody paired up. Geraldine, you're going the exact opposite direction of every single person on Brindlewood Bay. Everybody in Brindlewood Bay is going away from the body. You're going towards it. Do you care if anybody sees you doing that?
No, she doesn't care right now.
So you are just
She's
striding towards the
straight
dead
going.
body of Greg Shipley. What is Maud doing?
I think that she is going to pick up Mr. Sassy Pants' leash, and she is going to follow Geraldine, but in a much slower, more sort of composed manner. Maud never rushes anywhere, honey. And she is going to, as she's passing by, she's gonna just be like patting people on the shoulder and parents on the shoulder and little kids, and oh honey, it'll be okay. We just we're gonna make sure nobody gets hurt. And she's kind of like shooing people out of the way as she maneuvers to the center.
As Geraldine and Maud are moving towards the deceased, Elsie is helping getting everybody paired up. What's Jackie doing?
Jackie doesn't do corpses. Jackie is going to run interference for her darling friends. I'm going to try and slow down the officer and buy them more time.
So we see Jackie start heading up street, right, towards the very first one, knowing that Sheriff Darryl Ripple is going to be coming down this way. And if we can give Geraldine and Maud a little bit more time,
might find something good.
All right. I want to cut to Geraldine and Maud. Geraldine and Maud, you come up on the body of Greg Shipley, covered partially in wrapped candy.
Did I run head first without thinking about what I was going to do? Absolutely.
I think Maud comes up as you're like stop and you're like, oh, I should do something. Maud kind of moves up to you and she goes, we should probably check to see if there's any like wounds or anything, or maybe check to see if he's maybe still breathing. I don't know.
That's right. He might not be dead after all. I'm surprised you didn't marry him, by the way.
So, real quick, I do have an establishing question for you.
Mm-hmm.
One of you, and you can tell me which one of you always thought Greg was a fraud. And I want to know why. So which of the four of you always considered Greg one of the biggest frauds, and why?
Oh, it's not me. I love that fork.
I think Maud knew someone who knew, like, was friends with someone who knew Greg before he got famous. She just loves to talk to people. She's never met a stranger. And so she kind of worked it out of him that it's very possible that fork idea was not his idea, that it could have come from a partner of his that fell on some bad luck.
Elsie and Maud, you are at the body?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to start moving.
Or Geraldine and Maud. Yep. So Geraldine, I think without a doubt you are meddling. And guess what? There is a move for this. It's called the meddling move. So we are going to do our first roll of the game. We're going to have Geraldine do a meddling move. Now, Geraldine, go to your sheet. You're going to find the meddling move. The first thing that we need to decide is what ability are you doing this with? I think it's with reason. What do you think? All right. So I'd like to see a meddling move with reason.
All right. See if we can...
Ooh, good starting move.
That's amazing. So on a 12 plus with a meddling move, I owe you 2 clues. And these are capital C clues, and we'll talk a little bit mechanically how this works. I owe you 2 clues. I owe you a clue for the mystery, and I also owe you a void clue. And we will do both of them. But first, Geraldine, how are you meddling? Talk to me about what you're doing once you reach the body and Maud is looking over.
All right. So she's kind of shifting the candy out the way, checking his pulse, checking his chest, checking his neck, kind of seeing the average way that you'll find someone dead in all the murder mystery books that she's seen. So checking for those rope marks, like maybe a wrist is slit, maybe a head wound, with the candlestick. You never know.
Geraldine is straight up molesting this body.
And Maud is standing over her, like being completely useless. And I imagine there's a moment where Geraldine kind of looks up at her, like, "Are you gonna help?" And Maud's like, "Honey, I haven't been on my knees in ages. This ain't gonna happen."
So, Geraldine, as you're going through, there's no cuts, there's no strangulation marks on Greg's neck. There's no foam coming out of Greg's mouth. There's nothing that makes it immediately apparent why he died. But checking his pulse,
Mhm.
poor Greg is dead. Now,
Okay.
as you've been molesting Mr. Shipley in his time that he's been gone, you do find something. This is going to be your first capital C clue. You find a paper scrunched up and kind of stuffed into his pocket. And as you reach in and pull that out, you take a peek at it and you see it's a restraining order.
Mm.
It's a restraining order put out against Greg Shipley. So talk about a little bit of the mechanics of how mysteries work here. This mystery, Checkmate Greg, it's called, is a difficulty or complexity 6. You have found one clue. Now, there's an important detail about this clue. Who put out the restraining order? Geraldine knows. Jackie will know. Elsie will know. Maud will know. But we're not going to know yet. We're going to learn that when they start theorizing on who committed this murder. But for now, you have a restraining order against Greg that you have found. So that means you have one clue. When you guys are ready to theorize on who killed Greg Shipley, we're going to see how the complexity measures against the number of clues that you can rationalize to pin this onto the murderer. And that's going to determine whether you get pluses or minuses to your theorizing roll. But we'll get into that a little bit more later. Now, as you were going through that, you find another interesting thing. Because all of these were wrapped hard candies. The kids already took the candy bars, all the good stuff. But you notice one of the hard candy wrappers is much larger than the other ones. And you grab that and pick it up, Geraldine, and you open it up because it's so odd. And what spills out is a collection of human thumbnails. And they spill out onto the street. I'm going to need a night move from you. So the night move is any time there's a day move and a night move. The night move is more dangerous than the day move. The night move is when we potentially see one of our mavens in danger or in the possibility of losing their composure or threatened in any way. And I think Geraldine opening up a candy wrapper full of human thumbnails fits that. Now, my question for you before you roll, Geraldine, we're going to be rolling. I think it's going to be based on composure. But before you roll it, what I need to know is, Geraldine, what are you afraid is going to happen if you fail this roll?
That if I fail this roll, that the officer is going to come right around a corner and see me drop the fingernails onto the body, contaminating the forensic scene even more than I already have.
So if this was a day move, I'd be okay with that. But one of the things that's required of the keeper is when it's a night move, I have to say something very important. And I have to say, oh no, it's worse than that. If you fail this roll, not only will Sheriff Dalrymple see you opening up and spilling out these human thumbnails onto the ground, but he's also going to consider the fact that you were there contaminating the crime scene. I think Sheriff Dalrymple is going to consider you the number one suspect. Can you roll a night move for me using composure?
I sure can.
Ooh,
Wow. That is
beautiful.
impressive, actually.
All right, we're going to come back
Very
to
nice.
find out what this looks like, but I want to cut to you, Jackie. Sheriff Dalrymple. Sheriff Dalrymple at one point was likely a handsome man, but unfortunately the sheriff has had one too many donuts in his years. He's in his late 50s now. There's not a whole lot of crime until now inside of Brindlewood Bay. He's barely competent handling the parking tickets and the disputes over the bills at the bread and breakfasts. He is coming up with his bushy mustache and headed directly towards your three friends, Jackie.
I'm just gonna make a nuisance of myself. I'm putting on my whatever the 1980s equivalent of a Karen hat is, and I'm like, what kind of town are you running in front of children? And just making a scene and blaming it on the poor officer.
Miss Smith, I gotta get over there. I gotta get over to
No, you
so
need
I
to
heard
explain to me right now before you go anywhere. Why is there a dead body back there?
Miss Smith, I appreciate it, but I need to get around you because I've heard that there's a dead body at the
Oh
end
no,
of the
it's
parade.
dead. It's very dead. It's so dead. It's there. That's why there's no rush because of how dead it is.
There's no question Jackie's meddling in the mystery right now. So, Jackie, I need a meddling roll from you, and I want this with presence.
Presence. Okay, so my presence is a 0, which means I roll 2d6, no
Yep,
modifiers,
and
right?
you should be able to click on the move itself. So if you bring up your character sheet
Oh,
towards the bottom, you should see your moves.
it works.
Beautiful.
Ooh, dice are on fire.
Another 12.
Killing
And when we
it,
get to the
killing
dangerous
it.
part, we're so dead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so he's trying to get you around you, Jackie, and you're definitely slowing him down. But now, as that's happening, you happen to see an envelope, a bank envelope on the ground. Now, once the sheriff finally, as politely as he can, gets around you and starts heading towards the dead body, you pick up this envelope. And it is an envelope for the local bank. When you open up and peek at that envelope, you see it is a check written by Greg Shipley that has been voided. It's a voided check for $1,200. So that is your second capital C clue. A voided check written by Greg Shipley for $1,200.
In 1980s speak, that's a decent amount of money.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of change. And to keep things going, I'm going to reveal your void clue a little bit later. I was not prepared to reveal 2 void clues in the first 2 rolls. So we'll talk about the void clue a little bit later. I want to cut to you, Elsie. Elsie, what's it like getting all of these kids and parents paired up?
Absolute chaos. But I'm gonna just, it's okay. Everybody keep calm. Let's just make sure everyone is with. Let's just go this way, move away. Let's go. And I'm just gonna keep kind of shepherding people away from my friends while giving them a nice little comforting rub on their shoulder. It's all right. I'm sure it'll be handled. Let's just head on out of the way, everyone. Go on. Let's go.
And as the street clears because of your help, Elsie, and every child finds their parent and they can deal with their trauma now or in therapy later, you turn around, you see Geraldine all over Greg Shipley's body. We see Maud standing there next to it. We see the sheriff heading his way towards the end of the parade. And you, of course, see Jackie doing exactly what she was supposed to do, slowing him down just enough for Miss Geraldine to find one of the clues. What are you going to do, Elsie?
I am gonna, oh, this looks like it's gonna be a very stressful situation. And I'm going to totter inside and start a pot of tea.
So Elsie
It's
heads
going
into
to
the
be
bookstore and starts a pot of tea. The
Get
sheriff,
some cookies.
the sheriff showing up. We're going to cut back to you, Jackie, as you slide that voided check back into its envelope written by Greg Shipley. You realize that's not the only thing in the envelope. There seems to be a small stack of 3x5s. And looking around to make sure nobody's looking, you pull those out. And you start flipping through them. And they're candid pictures of different people in town. You see pictures of the four of you. You see pictures of the sheriff. Pictures of the local celebrities, the actors Abner and Coco, the socialite June, one of the antiquing kings of Brindlewood Bay, Pierre Albertin. But what's really crazy is every one of the pictures has the people's eyes violently scratched out. I need a night move from you as well for finding this void clue. Jackie, what are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your composure looking at these pictures?
Oh. I think it's twofold. One, she doesn't want anyone else to take exception to what she's looking at because she doesn't want anyone else to see it. It feels like something to keep close to chest. So one, she doesn't want to alert anyone that like there's something very strange happening. And two, she doesn't want the other Mavens to see her lose her composure because it's important to her.
So what's it going to look like if you were to fail? What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Somebody that should not see the pictures is going to see it, or somebody who can take advantage of her losing her composure is going to see her lose her composure.
So it's worse than that. Not only is someone going to see you lose your composure and see those pictures, but it's going to be the person who did it, the person who took each of those pictures, and the person who scratched the eyes out is going to see that you have found them. Can I get a night move with composure, please?
Okay.
I'm scared
Now-
for you.
Oh,
there it goes.
No!
Okay, so the composure is gone. Like my eyes are my best feature. Who could do this?
Okay. So as you're doing that, Jackie, you look up and everybody in the crowd is either moving in one or two directions. The nosy part of Brindlewood Bay is moving towards the end of the parade. Everybody else is moving away from the parade. And as the crowd clears, you see a figure standing in a small alleyway between two bed and breakfasts. They have a black shawl, hood, and a cape. And as you notice them, the head seems to lift. And you just rise. It's like, who is this? Who is seeing this? Because they've pulled and drawn you to them. All attention is now locked between the two of you. And as the hood comes up, all there is darkness. And like somebody's turning off a TV, this person flashes away. Jackie, I'm going to give you a condition. The condition is known to the conspiracy. So, at times, our Mavens are going to be picking up conditions. These conditions can cause disadvantages on rolls as we're playing through. At some point, our Mavens will likely want to clear some of these conditions. And the way they can do that is using a special move, their cozy little move. In which case, Jackie, at some point, can grab another Maven and go do her cozy activity with that other Maven. We'll narrate what that looks like, and you'll have the ability to clear that condition. Okay, Jackie?
Sounds good.
Dalrymple walks up. Damn it, Geraldine. Get away from that body.
It was like this when I came over here. She's gonna back up.
I think
I'm backing up.
I think Maud adjusts the boobs that Dear Macon bought for her before he passed away, and sidles up to Sheriff Dalrymple, who I don't know what his first name is, but I've decided it's Ralph. He looks like a Ralph.
Okay. Ralph
And,
Dalrymple.
Yeah,
at your
and
service.
yes, and she goes, and she just kind of like leans on him. She goes, Ralph, this is so horrible. What are we gonna do? And she's making like shooing motions to Geraldine. It's how could this happen in our town?
No,
What are,
Miss Maud, it's going to be okay. We'll get this figured out. And he kind of starts looking around, and he realizes that nobody's really within earshot. It's just you and Geraldine. And he says, "Can I tell you a secret, Miss Maud?"
honey, you know you can tell me anything. It's between us, of course.
Well, you see, I don't know nothing about solving no murders. In fact, in all my years of being the police, I've never, ever seen a dead body. Now, I know you and your three little friends, you like to read them books with the words in them that talk about how like people die and people figure out how they die, and then at the end they say you the one that did it, and then they go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He
And
kind
you
of
see
looks
this
around
big
again.
grin creeping up on Maud's face.
He goes, Is there any chance I can unofficially deputize the four of you, and maybe you can help me solve what happened to Mr. Shipley? Because if this gets out, I know I'm going to hear from the governor."
Ralph, honey, we will have this trussed up faster than a Christmas hog, I promise you. And we are going to make you look spit clean by the
It's
time we're done.
our little secret.
Absolutely, honey.
So we are going to cut away from the crime scene. What I have done is in your journals, guys, in Foundry, we're using Foundry to do this. There are two things that I have exposed to you. So let me just quickly make sure I've got it set. You should have two things you see, which is checkmate locations and checkmate suspects. Do you guys see those in the journals? We are going to take a 10-minute break. When we get back from this break, it is time to solve this mystery. So we need to know what the four of you are going to do first. We know our suspects. We know different places we can go. If there's other places we need to go that aren't on that list, that's fine. These are just leads for you. But we've got two clues with a complexity 6 mystery. We'll be back in 10 minutes. The dust has settled. Poor Mr. Shipley's body has been taken away. The crowd is cleared. Dalrymple is trying to make it look like he's collecting evidence, and he's putting down little yellow tent flags with numbers on them. He doesn't know why. He just saw that in a show one time, and he's just randomly putting them around the place, and he's taking pictures. And the four of you have retired back to the Crow and Quill. We see Elsie turn it from open to closed. We've now come together. Two of you know about the deputization. Some of you have clues. What happens once that sign gets flipped to closed?
Oh my God. There was thumbnails in their candy wrapper.
Yeah,
What?
I got one up on you. We're on a hit list, and she fans out the photos.
I just went to make tea. What happened?
Maud is looking out the front window at Ralph and just shaking her head. Bless his stupid little heart. Listen, there's something more exciting than hit lists and thumbnails. Dear, sweet, stupid Ralph has decided that we might know more about murders than him. So
That's true, though.
girls,
Yeah.
we got ourselves a genuine mystery. And we've been unofficially, we've been made into deputies.
I always knew this was my calling at some point. Okay. All right.
Sure.
So it is up to us to figure out exactly what happened to poor Mr. Shipley and make poor Ralph look like he knows how to do his job.
You know, what is a woman's job without making a man look good? All right, let's okay. Well, I found something in his pocket. A restraining order that was against Greg. She take it out of my pocket, sit it on the table.
Oh, that goes really handy with the $1,200 that he seems to owe someone because this check is voided.
Hmm.
Isn't he rich?
Yeah, come to think of it.
I look at Maud. I'm like, isn't he? All right.
I mean, he does okay for himself, honey. He's he's all right.
Has
He's
he
all
had
right.
money troubles? He didn't sell that tea set, did he? The Regency era one?
Ugh.
You know what? He just
That would be a
died.
shame.
It's. I'm
Can't
sure
do that
they're
after I
gonna put it
take
up
a
for
drink.
sale.
Well, listen, if we're gonna do this, we have to come up with our. We got to do some digging. So,
Okay.
what a. And I think she walks over to a very well worn coffee table that just has stacks and stacks of Amanda Delacourt books, and she picks one up and she flips through and she goes, "All right, girls," and she holds up the book. What would Amanda do right now?
Well, first make a list of suspects.
Well,
No, book 3, Amanda's Misters. It's always the lover. There's a scorned lover. We got to go see Gordon. Gordon did it. This case is already closed. Come on, girls.
Or it could be the wife, book 4.
mm,
Maybe, but we would. Who would be having an affair with him? It wouldn't happen.
He has been spending a lot of time with that little girl lately.
right. Book 7 was the autobiographer looking to make the biography a lot more interesting. Remember, I love that one.
Can.
That was a good one.
It was. It's one of my favorites.
And remember in book 9 when there was that what do the kids call it, the D&D club. Remember, he was jealous because the other one had all the attention. So with his little chess club, maybe there's something there.
That game was really suspect.
That's true. Yeah, I hear nothing good about it.
So I feel like we need to. I feel like I agree with Jackie. I think we need to go see Gordon down at the bank. We got a check, right?
Okay.
Avoided
Yeah.
check, and that's the best way to start. And girls, you know how much I love getting Gordon going. He cannot handle himself. We'll get all the information we can get.
Well, that's why he was engaged to Amanda at first, because she's very opposite of you.
So we cut to the 4 of you coming into the Brindlewood Bay Cooperative Bank. Not only the largest bank here in Brindlewood Bay, but honestly, it's the only bank here in Brindlewood Bay. And this bank is very generous, taking full advantage of all of the boom of the tourist seasons that have been approaching as Brindlewood Bay rediscovered itself as a destination, small cozy town. It's been lending money left and right to put together this new bed and breakfast. And of course we need a 5th bakery here in Brindlewood Bay. And of course people would go on one of any of these 8 different fishing expeditions. Now, as you walk in to the bank, we have tellers, because this is the 80s. Remember, there used to be tellers behind the counter. There are desks, people waiting in line, and up on the wall is a painting. And it's a painting of the woman who founded this bank back in the 18th century. It's a portrait that she commissioned soon after founding the Brindlewood Bay Cooperative Bank. We're going to paint the scene. What is it in this painting that each of you have noticed that really makes you question whether she got this bank legitimately or not? So when you look at this portrait, each of you have noticed something about this portrait that's made all four of you question whether she got this bank with legitimate reasons or not. What do we see?
Looking at her portrait, beautiful woman. It's that scowl that sets in on her face. Not many people choose to have their portraits painted with a scowl.
And what is it about that scowl that makes one of you say, she did not come about this bank honestly?
That's interesting. I think it's because the scowl is not directed straight ahead. She's actually turned to look at someone off, and as you walk in, it almost looks like she is scowling directly at you, as if she is like scanning the room to measure your worth.
Daring any of you to question the legitimacy of her getting the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So the four of you notice that disturbing, just unsettling painting of the founder of the cooperative bank. And in classic fashion, as soon as Elsie walks in this bank, Gordon Thune, head of lending, immediately stands up. Gordon is, for a man in his early 60s, a somewhat handsome man. He is kept. He's got very large glasses. He's got an eyebrow situation, but that really, if he was serious, he would take care of. His hairline is kept. It's not gone all the way back. It's about halfway there, but he slicks it back nice. He's got a suit that legitimately is a professional suit, an expensive suit. He stands up and puts his tie down, and immediately, just like every time you walk into this bank, Elsie comes up to you, goes, "Miss Lily, it is so good to see you. I want to first thank you for your prompt payments every month on the bookstore. And I want to reiterate to you that if there is anything you need to expand that bookstore, we here at the Brindlewood Bay Cooperative Bank would be happy to fund your dreams."
I'm going to take his hand in mine and I'm just going to give him a pat. And I'm going to, oh, you are a sweetheart.
Miss Lily, you are a pillar of this community. And the only thing the Brindlewood Bay needs more than what it already has is, I think, a second location. So why don't we come back to my desk and I can show you how easily we could make this not only just the Crow and Quill, but how does this sound to you? The Crow and Quills.
That is a lovely thought, and I appreciate you looking out for me, young man, but we are here on a different matter entirely.
Shall we go to my office?
Ladies?
Absolutely, yeah.
He doesn't even acknowledge that there's three other people in this bank. He puts his hand somewhat uncomfortably on the small of your back, Miss Elsie, and
I'm going to blush a little bit.
Escort you like royalty to his door. He begins to shut it and then realizes that you have three other people with you. Oh no, of course, please come in. Please come in. Grabs a couple extra chairs, puts it in his office and closes it down, sits down. Now, Miss Lily, what do you like better? Do you like the Crows and Quills, or Crow and Quill 2, or the Quill and the Crow? What are you thinking?
I'll tell you, my favorite part of this entire town is when dead bodies do not fall out of giant cauldrons of candy.
It is awfully bright in this bank, and he stands up and he pulls the blinds down in his office. He goes, Isn't it awful and scandalous? And quite frankly, if we think this sheriff is going to figure out who did this, I think that a second bank would be successful at Brindlewood Bay. It's just not going to happen.
Gordon, are you really that sad, hon?
Greg and I believe, buried the hatchet. Now, of course, you know that the whole reason the Fit Fork was a hit is because I pulled a few strings and made sure he got the funding. Without me, Mr. Shipley would not be Mr. Shipley. And granted, his wife married the wrong man, but he has also been a wonderful feather in the cap here at the Brindlewood Bay Cooperative Bank. So I have no ill will towards Mr. Shipley, towards the late Mr. Shipley. Well, how do you say this to hit to
Late.
them to
Just late, Mr.
Sure.
Shipley.
the late Mr. Shipley? I wonder if does that mean that Amanda? I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
And
Best to leave her alone in
That's
her time of
awful.
grieving.
That's awful, Gordon.
No, I
And
just want to
Maud
make
has-
sure
Absolutely
she's
awful.
okay. She's a wonderful, wonderful, kind woman. Saved many a marriage in this town.
We will check on her. I promise.
And
And
would
I-
you tell her that I send my condolences? Here, let me give you my card.
I'm not going to do that, young man. I did
So-
bring you some cookies, though. I had him a little sewing tin.
A
Got cookies inside of it.
yarn box. Oh, what kind of cookies are they, Elsie?
Oh, these are oatmeal raisin,
Oh, he
his
goes
favorite.
chocolate chip, my favorite. And he takes a
Yeah, I
bite and he
know.
goes, or oatmeal raisin.
I knew it. I knew that was really your favorite.
Miss Elsie,
You're
how
such
did you know?
Such a kidder.
How did you know? The sugar
know
tastes a little
things.
different. What is the sugar?
I just had it imported from Peru. I can't remember the name of it to save my life, but it gives an interesting flavor.
And do you think the raisin to oatmeal ratio is interesting?
I like a very thick consistency.
I need a
Super
glass of
good.
water. I'll be right back. And he steps outside, leaving the four of you alone in the office.
I think there's
Oh,
a
you-
cut. I think there's a cut scene as Elsie and Gordon are talking, where you see Maud kind of in the background, just fuming because someone else has got the attention other than her. and like when she hands him the cookies, she's in the background going, "It's a cookie." So like when he shuts the door, she is just like staring daggers at Elsie for a minute.
Well, aren't we just chopped liver
What?
in the presence of Elsie?
Goodness.
Would
What
you
did you do
stop
to that
it?
man?
And I'm gonna blush a little bit.
Uh,
Nothing.
The
He
entire
just
time.
likes my cookies.
Oh.
Is that what the kids call it these days?
I will not say anything about the cookies. So I was watching him the entire time, and I'm very curious as to whether his besides his suit, were the other accoutrements also expensive? His watch, his shoes.
Oh yes, yeah. He obviously spends the money, right? So there's and as you were going through the bank, Jackie, you could tell who, and of course, all of the people at desks are men because it's the 80s, right? All the people behind the counters are women because it's the 80s. And what's really sad about these little boys behind the desks is you can tell who is new to the job and who's been here a while and who's been successful by the quality of the clothes. And right in the middle there are those men that are trying to seem like they're more successful than they really are. But Jackie, you can spot it immediately. But it's a little bit different with Gordon. Gordon is doing well. And he is making sure that anybody that looks at his dress, his shirt, the cufflinks, the watch, that's a $200 tie.
Does Gordon
Hey, he's
have one of
single.
those giant 80s IBMs on his desk?
You know what? I think Gordon's secretary does. Gordon, he doesn't
Right.
do the typing thing.
Does he have cabinets in here that may be filled with files on people?
His desk drawers.
Yeah.
So he does. Now he's going out to get a glass of water.
I'm gonna
So
immediately pivot around his desk and pull it.
I'm gonna lock the door.
Yes.
Okay, you just changed it from a night move into a meddling move. Well done. Who is going to do the search?
I will.
All right. Miss Elsie, you are going to start rummaging around the desk and the cabinets. I'm thinking reason.
Reason.
Yeah, let's do a meddling move with reason.
Here we go. Mm.
So, we've got an option here. Whenever you fail a roll, on your character sheet, if you bring up your character sheet, you're going to see a list of things called the Crown of the Queen.
Yes.
Anytime you fail a roll, you have the option of putting on a crown. Now, I will give you a prompt, something that you're going to have to narrate before the end of the session, but what it automatically does is upgrade your roll one level. So this 6 will become a 7 to 10. So it will give you a success. And then I will tap in and ask you to narrate your crown. The one thing to consider is that you only get one of these in the lifetime of Miss Elsie. This may or may not be the time to use it. But you always have that option, whether it's a day move, a night move, or a meddling move. Do you want to put on a crown?
I think I do. I feel
All
like
right.
this is important.
Okay, go ahead. You choose for the Crown of the Queen. You mark it. We'll talk about what it
Okay.
is later. You start going through the cabinets and the drawers. And you end up finding at the back of his bookshelf. So the drawers are just boring, files, boring, nothing. You go to the bookshelf, and as you pull back one of the books, Elsie, you realize there's a book behind the books. And when you grab that book and look at the spine, on the spine it says the Brindlewood Gambit. And now looking on the front, it is Strategies to be a Grandmaster, the Brindlewood Gambit by Greg Shipley. His bestseller. What's interesting is it's soft. And as you pull the book out and open it, you realize there's a chapter that has been torn out of the book. You quickly look at all the chapter titles and realize which chapter it is. You fold the book up and you put it right back where you found it. And just as the last of the books that were in front of it are there, you hear click, 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 click.
Oh my, you locked yourself out.
Goodness.
That's really Mabel, I told you to get this thing looked at. It locked again. I am so sorry. It took me forever. It took me forever to get good water. He comes back in. These cookies just dried his mouth out. He's drinking, and he sits back on his tent. He goes, "Okay, we were talking about expanding the bookstore."
Oh, I think you were talking about expanding the bookstore. I'm not really interested in that. How would I be at both places at the same time?
Now, if I remember correctly, Miss Maud, you have become quite the artist. And do you know that tourists here in Brindlewood Bay would buy up your art left and right? And I think that if we got a little storefront, maybe next to the fishmonger off on the wharf, we could have you in there easily within a month.
Oh, look at the time, ladies. We really got to go. We're about to mix our next appointment.
That's correct. Yes.
Maud will.
I completely forgot about that. My goodness. Gordon,
We finance
honey, thank you
motorcycles.
for your time.
Yes.
Push all my friends out the door.
Yeah, as they're leaving, Maud will reach out. She'll like kiss him on the cheek real quick and leave a little lipstick stain as it is, and she'll say, "If you can just give us just a few minutes and let us talk and let us move out of here, I might even consider putting my money from that bank in New York to here."
Miss Maud, do you realize how evil that Bank of New York is? And how much safer your money would be here?
Well, when
You-
I
you-
come back, we'll have that conversation.
you ladies have your little conversations, and if there's any men in your life that you would like to bring in so that we can talk man to man about this, you just let me know.
Staring daggers at him.
Okay?
Of course, ladies, let's go. Let's go, ladies.
So before we leave, I'm gonna like give like a little motherly grabbing of his shoulder. Like, yeah, compared to her, he's relatively young. So let me give you a tip, young man. Women are the easiest to console right after losing a partner. Right now is the perfect time for you to take those cookies and go visit Amanda. Go. Why are you still standing here? And then she's going to scurry out the door.
And you see him grabbing the cookies and like trying to like push the crumbs away and put the top back on the tin. And you guys head out. Where are we going to cut to? Back to the bookstore, or are we going somewhere else?
I kind of like going to the coffee shop to see the chess club, maybe.
I second. As soon as we're out of there, I'm like, there's no way he did it. That's not a man who cares
He's
about
too
$1,200. He's not
stupid.
killing anybody for $1,200.
But when he killed somebody for Amanda, he's clearly still desperate.
Maybe.
But I agree. He doesn't seem like the I'm
don't know
gonna
if I'd
shove you
say
in a
desperate.
cauldron. Obsessed.
So as you guys are walking down the street discussing whether we're going to consider Mr. Thune a suspect or not, you come to the coffee shop here in Brindlewood Bay. Relatively new coffee shop. It's called Foam. And as you walk in, let's paint the scene. All four of you have noticed this every time you've walked in here. This place is definitely trying to cater to tourists. What is it about Foam that makes it immediately apparent every time you walk in here that it has no interest in catering to the residents of Brindlewood Bay? It only cares about the tourists.
The prices. The price. No one pays that much for a cup of coffee, even if they have that much to spend on a cup of coffee. Only tourists will pay $5 for a cup of coffee. We can go
God,
across the
that's-
street to the diner right now. Coffee is still 60 cents, unlimited refills.
And
That's
better
what bothers you? For me, it's the welcome to small town vibes. Come experience Brindlewood for the first time.
They have this awful seaside decor with like the rigging on the walls and the like little fake crabs hidden in, there's a marlin on the wall, like it looks
That's
like
what I
one of
will-
those fish camps, you know what I mean?
It's got
That's
their
a-
name in big neon lights on the
Yeah.
outside as well, too.
So all of you know Eleanor Levinson opened Foam. And to her credit, this has been her place and her dream. And when she moved to Brindlewood Bay from New York, she has put in long hours. She's always here. She doesn't have many friends, and there's a good reason why. But as soon as you come in, you see Eleanor. She's in her late 30s. She looks up and she goes, "Oh, well, what do you call yourselves again? You call yourselves the killing ladies or the reading runts. What do you
I
for?
kind of like the killing ladies.
Do you like the reading
So-
runts really stuck out to me?
And Miss Smith, you see the diner's open.
Yeah.
just eye contact, just uncomfortable eye contact.
I don't normally see you ladies in here. Can I get you a cup of coffee?
Uh,
Or as the Italians say, a latte?
Oh, that does sound nice. Yes, I'll have one of those.
So
like
one latte for
$3.
Miss Elsie. Miss Smith, would you just like I've got old coffee. Would you like some old coffee?
I'll take an espresso. Hold the Marlin.
One espresso, one latte. Geraldine, I have no booze, so just coffee.
That's fine. I don't want any. I don't want either.
A glass of water, not vodka, water.
Wow. Yes. Water would be
Shame.
great.
And Miss Maud, I assume sweet tea.
You know me so well. Yes, absolutely. Make it right this time.
So, Eleanor, hard worker, tough to like. She begins to prepare your drinks. Now, as that's happening in the far back of the foam coffee shop, you see several residents of Brindlewood Bay, some young, some middle-aged, some old, all playing chess. There's a small piece of ribbon that kind of separates this area from the rest of the coffee shop. And there you see two people that you are familiar with. You see Miss Jolene Cakes, who will make sure you understand that she is the president of the Brindlewood Bay Chess Club. And then there with a small tin cash box that has an obnoxious lock on it, like anybody wants to steal it, you of course see the treasurer, Lou Good. And they're off in the back. Everybody's quiet. All you hear is the clack, clack, clack of chess pieces hitting the boards.
Hey, two more people's back there. We should like go talk to them. Once she gets my vodka water together.
So water, sweet tea. Oh, she put a little leaf of mint in there, Maud. Coffee
Bless her heart,
black
she tries.
for Jackie. Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted espresso. She
I'm
takes
sure
the
it'll
black.
taste the same here.
She takes the black coffee and pretending to hide from you, but she wants you to see her pour it into an espresso cup and then pour the rest in the sink. She goes, "Here, honey, your espresso." And Miss Lily, you said a latte. That'll be $32.50.
I'm gonna very slowly go through my wallet and like count out individual dollars. I'm gonna pull out exact change, but I'm gonna like get my obnoxiously large bag and like dig through it looking for loose change. And I'm
This is
going to
$31, Miss Lily.
oh right. And then I'm gonna reach in my bra and pull out another one.
You can put it right there is fine. Right there's fine. Yeah, the ladies, enjoy your drinks. And she obnoxiously tips over the plastic cup that says tips on it. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I tipped that over." And she puts it back up again and puts the Sharpie marker tips towards you.
I'll
Geraldine
go,
is
that's
gone.
okay, and knock it over as I walk by.
I think Maud is going straight to Lou, and she's gonna have Mr. Sassy Pants with her, his little legs trying to keep up with her. She's got a fairly long gait for an old lady, and his little legs are trying. So you hear this like little clicky 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 click across the floor, and she sits down next to Lou, and she goes,
Well, hold
"Oh,
on a second.
okay. Mhm.
Because Maud, as you head towards the Brindlewood Bay Chess Club, the second Lou realizes that you are not going to honor the barrier between common foam and chess foam, he immediately closes the tin box, puts the lock on it, stands up, and walks towards you. Now, Lou, Lou is an older man, even for you, Maud. And he always has that, I'm not sure if I'm concerned or I don't understand brow on his face. That look of, is he hard of hearing? Did he not see me? Did he not understand what I'm saying? He's got thick glasses, the kind of glasses that distort the eyeballs. So his eyeballs look obnoxiously large as you look at him. And he comes up and he goes, Miss Maud, I don't believe you've joined the chess club.
Lou, honey, listen, I just came to console y'all because I know with Mr. Shipley's passing, y'all have to feel some kind of way about it. So I just wanted to come and just share my condolences. And
Well, I don't take lessons from Mr. Shipley anymore, so I hate that he won't be here and around, and I feel sorry for his wife, but he and I don't do lessons anymore. So, Maud, it's $12 a year. It's $12 a year if you would like to join the chess club.
she goes, "Do you take checks, honey?"
Well, if you don't have the cash, I would be happy to take a check. It's made out to the Brindlewood Bay Chess Club, all capital letters.
And she reaches into her pocketbook and pulls out some reading glasses, and she kind of turns away from him as she does it, and she starts writing, and she goes, "Now, when was the last time Mr. Shipley was even here? Because, like, I know there was some, honey, I know there was some bad blood between the two of, I know things didn't always work out. He was not an easy man to like now, was he?" And she's filling out the check.
And as we see that check being filled out, what is Elsie, Jackie, and Geraldine doing?
As she's talking to Lou, Geraldine's gonna be a little bit loud and like, yeah, like, and talking to Jackie and Elsie, yeah, because Greg was the president of the chess club, like enough for Jolene to kind of hear it. So I want to know how they're actually doing without him now. Like, it kind of sucks.
So Geraldine is making a slight scene. What is Elsie and Jackie doing?
I'm just fanning the fires. Just give Geraldine the room.
I'm gonna kind of brush past the guy with the lockbox and just go over to a table where people are playing, and I'm just gonna pick one up. And I was like, "Oh, what does this one do?"
Once you touch it, you move it up, ma'am. So I need. It sounds to me like Maud,
nice.
you're bringing up the history, and that Lou might have a little bit of a problem with Mr. Shipley, the late Mr. Shipley. So I need a meddling move. And are we using more reason or presence here, do you think, Maud?
I think Maud is using presence because she's just kind of in his space and she knows that he is off kilter.
And are we trying to kind of intimidate some information out of Mr. Good, or are we trying to charm him?
I think
both will be presence.
I think it's kind of a mix of both. I think we're just trying to disarm him a little bit, like get him to like say something that because he just doesn't know what else to say.
Fair. So let's go ahead and do a meddling move with presence. We have a partial success. I explained to you, Miss Maud, Mr. Shipley, yes, he does not come anymore, and we are fine without him. And those that bring him up tend to lose their games anyway. So you want to make the check out? Yeah, all of Brindlewood has to be capitalized, Miss Maud. You have to capitalize all of them, or the bank won't take it.
You're right. I'm going to have to start over. And she pulls that check off, starts working on it with him. Now, Lou, honey, like, are you going to be able to teach? Did Mr. Shipley give you enough pointers to be able to teach me how to play this game?
As soon as your check clears, Miss Maud, and the cooperative bank clears the check, you get one free lesson. You get one free lesson, and we will show you how all the pieces work. Now, Maud, Lou is trying to keep not only track of you, but Lou is trying to keep track of everything happening. Apparently, Lou has decided that he must keep this rowdy back of foam under control. And as part as he's looking around, you see a small spiral notebook on the desk. And it says Brindlewood Bay Chess Club, all in capital letters.
Important.
Attendance.
I think that as she's writing, she's got her big purse and she's like, this pen is not working, and she pulls her purse and sets it right down on top of the attendance notebook and starts rifling through trying to find. And she's, Lou, honey, do you happen to have a pen that works? This is my last one. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Maybe Miss Eleanor has one.
Wait, no. Now, Simpson, I have told you, you cannot castle twice when black is... 1 minute, man. 1 minute. He goes, and Maud, you have more than enough time if you want to have that book fall into your purse.
That's exactly what's going to happen. She's going to slide it into her purse, which is it is a monstrosity of a purse. It is almost like a full valet. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous. It is a bottomless pit full of candies and God knows what, and probably one of her husbands.
But does
It's
it
so
have
big.
rhinestones?
Yes.
That's-
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding?
So, partial success. I'm giving you a condition, Miss Maud.
Ooh, all right.
Because when you leave, our friend Lou here is going to notice his book is missing. And he's going to piece it together. So your condition is Lou doesn't trust me unless you want to put on a crown.
I'll put on a crown.
Okay, go ahead and mark yourself a crown. We'll get to it before we finish. And that's going to turn your partial success into a full success without anybody noticing. You can add a big C clue to your list, and that clue is the attendance records of the all capital letters Brindlewood Bay Chess Club. Now, who is making the fuss and trying to get the attention of the president, Jolene Cakes?
Geraldine is.
So you start bad-mouthing how the chess club has gone downhill since then. And a woman of thin, small stature who at her age should be gray, but is blonde. And there's no roots. Somehow she's naturally blonde. In fact, even though not many people get along with Miss Jolene Cakes, one thing everybody respects the fact of is that she looks very, very good for her age. All 4/8 of her goes around the ribbon that separates chess foam from regular foam. And she looks up and she goes, "Do you have to always be so loud?"
Oh, finally you came over, Jolene. It's been such a long time.
Do you know I can hear that music? I live 4 blocks down from your garage, and I can hear that music every time. And I know you think Steppenwolf is a good band, but Steppenwolf is not good. I'd be happy to loan you my records. I have Mozart. I have Stravinsky. I have music that is much better than that Steppenwolf.
I'm sorry, what was the second thing that you sure FIFA? Anyway, how are you doing without the chess club president around anymore?
He has not been he has not been president for a very, very long time. He was barely a chess master. Barely a chess master. And quite frankly, I think the chess club is much better off without him. The entire time she's talking to the bottom of your chin.
Okay, I can see that. So can you remind me, when did you retire again? Because I know you used to then complain about my music because you were at work. How long has it been?
So it depends on what you mean by retire. Are you saying when did I lose my chess master status, or are you wondering when I retired from my job?
Both?
There's a reason, Miss Geraldine, you have only 3 friends. And it's because of questions like this.
There's a reason why you're only friends with the chess club, but we're not here to poke fun at each other.
Can I help you?
God, she hates this woman so much.
I'm gonna sip my espresso and go. We were just wondering why you killed Greg. This
Gonna
espresso is
stop my
absolutely terrible.
examination.
This
of
may
a
be the
chess
most
piece, like,
amazing meddling move ever in the history of Brindlewood Bay.
Jackie is my favorite. Oh my gosh.
So, Jackie, with your coffee in an espresso cup, I need you to make a meddling move. And I think it's definitely with presence. Do you agree?
Sure.
yes.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, very nice. A
All right.
10. What do you mean?
Which part do I need to repeat? It was just one sentence.
In order to kill Greg Shipley, I would have to care about Greg Shipley.
I beg to differ. All you really need is a knife, a car, a motive.
losing a chess match.
That's
No
a good
one's
motive. I like
financial
that
here.
one.
Sweet.
I think you should read more than those gold crown mysteries, and you should branch out to real literature, because it has twisted your mind into these weird little conspiracy mystery things. Sometimes things are obvious. He did not take care of himself. He was not a smart man. He didn't even use that stupid fat fork of his. So he could have died for several reasons. So I think you should. Do you need me to loan you a real book?
We are not going to talk to Jackie like that because, number one, you can't die naturally if you're inside of a candy cauldron.
So,
Band name.
I'm trying to find you a clue. This is good. As you're having this conversation, Jackie, and as Jolene Cakes is trying to one up you and failing miserably, she is trying to dismiss you. She's trying to insult you, and your armor is thick. It's like, oh, honey, right? I think you happen to notice that the trash can that is right close to the ribbon that separates chess foam from common foam, the little short black trash can with the black liner on it, hasn't been emptied in a long time. And it's full of coffee cups. And as you're kind of looking at it, trying to pretend that you care what Miss Cake says, you look down there and you notice a envelope, a greeting cards envelope. And you can tell that it was violently opened, but there's still a card in the trash can.
Ooh.
Like I said, I could give you all kinds of books. I could give her, pointing to Geraldine, real music to listen to. I could buy her, pointing to Elsie, real clothes that don't look like they're homeless people clothes. And I could, of course, introduce Miss Maud to Art. Cutting to you, Maud, writing your third check after being corrected.
She hands it over to Lou, and she pats him on the shoulder, and she says, "Now, honey, I'll be back soon enough. All right, I'll just as soon as my check clears, you just let me know, and I'll come play this little game with you. I know that when you move at least twice, then you get crowned, right? And you can take one of the pieces and put it on top of the other pieces."
Oh.
And she, like, as he's just completely dumbfounded, she pats him on the shoulder and moves towards
I need to talk about pricing for the second lesson.
We'll talk about it when we get to the first lesson, honey. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. And she'll head kind of back towards the others, and she said, "Ladies, are we about ready to go?"
Jackie,
Yeah,
what
I
are we
just
doing
need to
about
throw this horrible, nice and loud for the people in the back, this god awful coffee away, and then make my way over to the garbage can.
And as you're in the garbage can, you're able to grab that greeting card. Let's cut to outside. Jackie, you have not looked at this thing yet.
Can I do one quick thing before we
Of
leave?
course, Elsie.
I'm gonna go up behind Miss President, and I'm gonna pull out a little bundle of sage, and I'm gonna light it, and I'm gonna go, "We really need to get rid of the negativity in here," and then I'm just gonna keep wafting it as I make my way.
Poor Eleanor wants us out of here so bad.
And as you're going out, Eleanor is just like, "This, you're making this place smell like Brindlewood Bay. Oh, go to the diner. Just go to the diner."
And as we're exiting, Maud looks over at Jackie and goes, "Honey, sometimes you are meaner than a pit bull with his balls stuck in a gopher hole. I love it for you, honey, but whew, goodness."
I thought I was having a good day.
I'm still having a good day.
Sage's been
Do you need a cookie? I've got some, and I'll pull some out
I'm absolutely taking the cookies.
Yeah.
for sure. They're
So-
delicious. The ones I gave Gordon were deliberately awful. These are amazing.
You get outside. Jackie, what are we going to do?
Open up this card.
So like I said, this wasn't like done with a letter knife, right? A letter opener or anything. This was the card was ripped open from the top. In fact, most of the top of the envelope is gone. And you pull the card out and flip it over and look at the front of it. And it's a chess themed card. Something clever, chess, castling. You're the best, right? When you open it up, scrawled on the inside, it says Greg, comma, you, in all capital letters, underlined several times, deserve this.
Ooh.
So it's another capital C clue. It's a chess-themed greeting card signed with Greg. You deserve this. How many clues have we have?
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's nice. Complexity 6. We're already at 4 clues. So we've got a lot more investigating to do. There's a lot more suspects. There's a lot more locations where we potentially could get some more information. I also have, I believe, 2 crowns have been put on. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Who put on crowns?
Elsie and Maud.
All right. So I want to go to you, Maud. Which crown of the queen did you put on to upgrade your role?
I put on the one that removed my character sheet. Hold on one second. I put on the crown of the queen that was a flashback showing how you were an imperfect mother.
Can you narrate that for us? I want a flashback, Maud, of some point in your life where you showed yourself as an imperfect mother.
So Mike, our darling Mike, was probably about 12, 13 years old, and he was showing some interest in doing specifically a chess and chess club and such. And I think that she really wanted him to succeed at something. Mike was never one to like really push himself very hard. So when he discovered this interest, she maybe got a little too into it, a little too like she learned all the moves, she learned all the things. Means she was playing Lou completely in the she knows everything. And so there's the scene is Maud and she's got Mike and they're playing a game and they're going back and forth and she's just like, no, that's not how you do it. If you do this, you are going to lose, and this is your way. This is your way to get noticed, to get discovered, and that's what you need to do. And you can see that like Mike is clearly like less into this, and um Mike actually sort of loses interest because she pushed him so hard.
And how does that affect Mike now as an adult?
I think that he is much more or much less willing to listen to her and her advice because he knows that she's going to overdo it. So he didn't share as much with her as he used to.
Kind of affected the relationship.
Mhm.
All right. And Elsie, you also put on a crown?
I did.
Which crown did you mark?
I did a flashback of my fondest memory with one of my children.
Let's go there.
It goes back not too long ago, maybe 12 or 13 years ago, but she is originally from kind of this backwoods, blue collar, coal mining type of town, and very, very small place. But she thinks back to her eldest son, Liam, on his wedding day in this little country church that's just been decorated with natural surroundings. And it's very small. There's only like maybe 20 or 30 people there, but it's like her proudest moment, seeing him kind of fly for the first time.
And that moment, how does that come up again in your life today, Elsie? So how did that affect Elsie?
I think it's just kind of reminding her of how proud she can be of the people that she loves, including these 3 other ladies with her. And she's just proud to kind of be one of this amazing, badass, clever team. And she is kind of like grateful to tag along and proud of everything that they accomplish.
And in true serial 80s murder mystery TV, as soon as we talked to a couple suspects, but not all of them, as soon as we found a few clues, as soon as things get really interesting, we see those dreaded words, "to be continued." And as "to be continued" fades away, unexpectedly, something new fades on the screen. And it's nighttime. It's the coast, very close to Brindlewood Bay, but beyond where there are wharfs, where there are docks, and where there are boats. It's the natural coastline where very few people visit in Brindlewood Bay. And it is night, dark night. And standing on the sand is a circle of hooded figures, all facing each other. The moon itself is high in the sky, and the light from that moon illuminates the featureless, plain porcelain masks that each of these people are wearing. With these masks on, each of these persons look almost like Greek statues that aren't quite finished. and we start to see them sway. Dekidoko. Olo. Makamo. Dolo. Chikitara. Dolo. And as they get a little louder, as they sway a little bit more, out at the horizon, it might be a trick of the light, it might be a reflection, but it really looks like a large shadowy figure is rising. Let's go to credits. We'll be back. Welcome back. Okay. I got a lot to talk about. I heard a nasty rumor that somebody on my cast does not like Powered by the Apocalypse games.
What?
And their name rhymes with Favy Smake. So Navi. First of all, I got to tell you, as somebody who doesn't normally dig these types of games, the fact that you even considered playing with us is a huge compliment. So first off, like, you're one of the first people I asked. So I really appreciate this. I guess I want to start. Let's put Brindlewood Bay aside for a second.
Yeah.
What is it? And this is not a commentary on Powered by the Apocalypse, right? It's just, what is it that just doesn't click for you? Where's the disconnect for you?
Okay, so I've played a good number of them, and I've enjoyed them. So whenever I'm harsh or whenever people think I'm so mean, and I'm like, I don't like Powered by the Apocalypse games, it's mostly the move structure. I feel is a little like it really wants you to behave a very specific way that's supposed to stay true to the genre, but it feels kind of limiting to me. And then at the same time, there's not enough little bits to let me control the narrative as much as I like to. I like to be able to more often say, "Oh no, that let's change that," or we'll go ahead and resist that and try something different. So it's not that I won't play them, obviously.
Right.
And anytime I'm invited to a fun game with a fun group of people, I'm going to come with bells on because it's going to be fun no matter what. It's just usually when that conversation comes up, it's because I'm talking about, like, with my home group, when I'm playing long games, what do I want to play? I want to play something like meaty with a lot of mechanics. I'm a crunchy person.
And for those of you watching may not know this, Navi is one of my favorite game designers. She's responsible for some of the games that really exposed to me what's possible in this hobby. after coming from a long hiatus. So this is going to get a little bit inside baseball, and I don't care. Is there anything that you found interesting from a design perspective as you were introduced to Brindlewood Bay, as you kind of looked through the book to get ready, as you built your character, and now that you've played a session? Is there anything that kind of tickled the designer in you?
Yes, the mystery system is really well done. It's the way that you collect clues and to keep them open enough to where you can, as a group, decide how to put them. I think I heard somebody had commented and said that it made them feel like they were framing the guy, but like I don't feel like that's not how it feels at all. It feels much more like a really good murder mystery where like you got this pile of clues and sure we're making the connections, but that makes them real, right? So it actually feels really good to me. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel weird. It's really well done. It's like exceptionally well done.
Yeah, I bounced off it at first, Navi. When I first started, I'm like, how are you going to run a game when you don't know who the murderer is? And we're going to, but then I realized, and I can't remember if it was an interview, it was during my interview with Jason or something I read with Jason, where Jason said, like, when you have a canon solution and the keeper is dangling clues, depending on players to put the clues together, which for those of you at the home game, nobody will not figure out a mystery faster than your players. Even if you hand them a paper saying this person killed this person, right? Because there's a disconnect in the people who know things, which is the GM, and the people that don't know things. So things seem very obvious when you know everything, and it's hard to pull that off. There's a reason that mysteries are a hard thing to pull off in RPGs. And what Jason's talked about is I want to mimic what it's like reading a mystery novel and what it's like watching a mystery television show. And when you think about it, that's exactly what happens, right? Metal, 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 clue, metal, 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 clue, right? And we're piecing it together, and we with Columbo and are starting to put it together. And then at the end, when the theorizing happens, we say because of clues 1 through 7, it is this person, and they might be right or wrong. So I'm with you, and it's been really fun. Kind of like, this is my first time playing the game, so it's been kind of fun watching it in play. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't wait till we do the theorize move. We've got a little ways to go, but I'm super interested to watch you as a table take all these breadcrumbs, piece them together, and obviously it's going to be the suspect who killed it. And I think that's really where the meat of this game is. So Navi, one of the things that I like to do, this is like a Jason Cordova love fest, right? The other thing I stole from Jason Cordova is the concept of stars and wishes. And so at the end of each of my sessions, I like to do 2 things. One, I like to hear from the players, not the characters. What was one or more star moments, places where that just really, when someone asked you what you do last night, you said, I played Brindlewood Bay and this happened. I want to know what one or more stars for you in today's session.
There were some really good moments that probably if I was trying to present it like I played it and this happened, like trying to encapsulate it would actually be probably a different response. But like my big stars are always kind of like the strange things that stand out to me. And it was the big purse. The big purse was it felt so quintessentially 80s to me. Like it made me feel nostalgic. I thought of my mother's purse. Like that was my favorite moment. It was rifling through the giant purse was a star moment.
And what's so cool about that, Amy, is that stuff like that, little details like that, for everybody at the table defines Elsie, right? And just adds so much more than just she carries a big purse. It comes with a whole lot more details than just that little detail. So I'm with you. So the second part of that, Navi, is wishes. And this is for you as a player, not as a character. As you as a player, what are you wishing for in the next session or 2?
Loud. I don't think I have any wishes. I think that everything was pretty much on the table today. I think that if I have any wishes at all, it'd be more for myself to like go a little bit harder, because whenever you're with a brand new group, you always want to wait to see what everyone else's energy is. So there were a couple moments where I realized I could have jumped in, but I was kind of waiting, and so I think that it'll pick up and be a lot more fun as it goes on.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that we have no idea who our characters are until like session 2.5, 3. Right. And I think that we're all figuring that out, and we figure out each other as well.
Mhm.
I wish for the same thing. I want more Jackie.
Me too.
All right. Shadika. Um First off, where are you? This is the first time you've played Brindlewood Bay.
Mhm. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm always
What works?
nervous. So when you first asked me to do this, I was super nervous because I don't think I'm good at just improvising things. So I'm like, all right, we'll try this out. It sounds fun. It's a great cast of people. But it kind of just flows super, super well. I really like the mechanics of there's not a mystery already there's a mystery to be solved, but the answer to the mystery is if you pass or fail with the clues involved.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's really exciting and different for me because I've been in those long D&D games and campaigns where you're sitting around for hours trying to figure out when did you have time to create this complicated 3-hour puzzle that only a PhD chemist would know? Like, why would I know this?
Very true.
So-
Very, very true.
So that kind of just gets rid of that. And I absolutely love that. Even though I'm more of a, might not seem like it from most of the people that I play, I'm very structured
Mm-hmm.
and organized. So a lot, not like Navi, I'm good at the hard crunching and like long drawn out scenes. And this is like fast, easy, and fun.
I'm glad. So, stars. One or more stars for you. What were some moments that stood out for you?
Oh my gosh. When Jackie came off the top ropes and asked Jolene to watch you kill him.
So good.
That
So good.
Straight for it.
It was really
So
amazing.
good.
that was beautiful. That was a great moment.
And how much did we learn about Jackie in that just one moment?
Oh,
Right?
oh, so much.
It was amazing.
Like, yes. I was like, yes, I need more of this. Like, more of everybody. This is great.
How about wishes for you, Shadika? What are you wishing
Um,
for in the next session or two?
I guess the same thing along the lines that you all said. Because I noticed there was moments where we were slower because everyone was thinking of should I jump in now or should I wait? Was somebody else jumping or should I wait? And I'm like, oh, I want to jump in, but I think I'm gonna wait to see the kind of the vibe check of everyone else that you're
Yeah.
playing with and seeing how it can go. So that would be like my top wish is when we just let it all loose and just go with the flow and see what happens.
Well, and
Which is
correct me if I'm wrong here. There's a rhythm that we have to figure out, right?
yes.
When we have a new table with new players, and for some of you, new GM, we got to figure out the rhythm, right? And you're all also not assholes who just jump in and take over a table. So, yeah, and I feel like it happened. We started seeing it happen, and where I started to see it happen is when I asked you about the painting. There was less hesitancy. Everybody kind of chipped in, and and the game's a little bit different because it asks for that collaboration with very specific prompts like that. So yeah, I wish for the same thing. Oh, Maeve,
Hi.
you were really looking forward to this. Did it disappoint?
No, oh my god, I loved it so much. I have been thinking about this character for a while and like what she was going to do and how she was, and then like being nervous because I was like I didn't want to, like I've worked with everybody but Navi before, but I still like didn't know how we were going to all, sort of gel together. So I'm like, and me, one of my things is always being worried about being the asshole at the table that steals the, because I love the big scenes. So no, this was wonderful. I had so much fun.
Was there anything that surprised you? So you came in with a lot of expectations. You and I've talked offline about how excited you were and how this is like right up your lane. And is there anything now that you've played a session that surprised you? Something you didn't anticipate that you saw in the game?
I was really surprised by how well the sort of mechanics of the moves weren't flowing into each other, because we instantly saw meddling move going to a void move, or day move going to a night move, and then like it felt like there was just a nice sequence of this goes into this goes into this, and you're sort of left with like that sort of satisfaction of the scene is not the like defeating the monster, or it's coming up with that particular clue and you're not even going to use it yet. Like it just gets stored up, like you're not even going to use it, but it's really neat how that all just sort of flowed together really well.
Yeah, and just to be clear for everybody at home, not every meddling move is followed by a night move.
No,
because
no, there
every
were two in a
meddling move's
row. Yeah.
12.
Yeah, there were
I
two in
mean,
a row.
You guys already have 2 void clues. You already have 5 clues in just one session. So you guys are on a wonderful roll. Now, granted, it cost you a crown to get that 5th clue. But all right, how about wishes? Or I'm sorry, stars first.
Stars. Okay, stars for me. It is very clear, Craig, that you have done your due diligence watching the specific genre of shows. All of your little characters were so those perfect 80s caricature, the stupid sheriff, the greedy banker, the obnoxious chess players. I loved every one of your NPCs. I did. They were so well. They were so well realized and so very pulled, like almost directly out of a Columbo or a Murder She Wrote. Like they were beautiful, and that might even go into my wishes. I want to see more. I want to see more of these big, silly, ridiculous characters. I want to have more scenes where like the sheriff stumbles in and possibly just makes things worse.
How could Sheriff Dalrymple do that?
How could he? Poor Ralph, bless his heart.
Oh, I love that, and I appreciate it. I'm glad that it hit. Yeah, I mean, in watching those shows, I mean, one thing that I think was a staple of those 80s shows is like everybody's a caricature,
Mhm.
right? Because they only have an hour, right? So we got to simplify these characters. Let's make them all caricatures, and let's go. So I'm glad that came through for you.
It's
So
great. It was so good.
So Amy, this is the first time we've played together.
This
was some serious cold turkey.
Yeah.
So at first, I want to know where you are as somebody who's now you've played with Maeve before.
I have, yes.
But this was a leap of faith for you, right? You'd never played a game that I've ran. You've not played with half of the table. What were you worried about, and how are you now?
Oh, I feel great now. Again, it just goes back to the dynamics of the group. It's something that we've all mentioned now, because that is a big part of collaborative storytelling, is like vibing with each other and trying to figure out kind of how that rhythm works between all of us. So I think that's what I was most nervous about. But I've talked with Maeve quite a bit about this game, and it's like, yeah, these are awesome people, awesome DMs, awesome characters, like absolutely nothing to worry about. And it was absolutely nothing to worry about. Had a great time.
And when Amy is famous after all this, when we find out just how talented Amy is, I want the credit for discovering her.
Stop it.
Yeah, and so for those of you watching that, you probably don't know this, like poor Maeve, like I broke my thumbs. Like I heard 2 episodes of Maeve's podcast that Amy was on, and I'm like, I immediately reached out to Maeve. I'm like, I need you to introduce me to Amy, and I need Amy on every single one of my live plays. And we'll talk about that podcast in just a second.
Yeah.
So again, Amy, having seen the game, signed up for the game, looking into it, creating your character, is there anything that surprised you? There's a lot that you anticipated. After playing a session, is there anything that stood out or surprised you?
I'm really kind of surprised with my character, honestly. I tend to like come up with a vague idea and then just kind of see what happens with them, really. This character was loosely based on my grandmother, who was a traveler that immigrated to the US, and was like this super carefree woman, and she had like all these old wives' tales, and that she lived her life by like moon cycles, and you kept a
Oh, that's
broom over
cool.
your door, and on this time of year you have to do this. And it's, I mean, it was like, she was just absolutely amazing, and I just kind of took her a little bit further
Yep.
than she actually would have gone, and I really like her actually quite a bit.
Amy, that's my favorite thing as a player is discovering the character that I made.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a firm believer you don't know who that person is until you've walked
Yeah.
in their shoes. And the only way you're going to walk in
Absolutely.
that shoes is when there's a world around you. And the only time there's a world around you is when you have other players and you have a table and you're playing.
That's right.
And it's super controversial for some people, but I hate backstories that are 4 pages long. Like, I love your approach, Amy. Let's sketch it out. Let's get an idea of who this is.
Yeah.
But let's figure.
Vague idea.
They got to live before we know
Go
who
with
they
it.
are. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm with you completely. All right. So stars, any star, one or more star moments that really stood out for you?
I kind of like almost an implied scene, and that is, I love the idea of Geraldine in her garage just rocking out and like absolutely blasting and like up working on her motorcycle and her bomber jacket, and she's got grease across her face and her hair is all wild and I love it. I love it. The whole idea behind it, this scene, it's like I can hear it from 4 blocks down, and I love everything about it.
And as a player, Amy, what are you wishing for in the next session or two?
You know, just kind of a little more cohesion. I absolutely love that we're coming together, and I mean cohesion like as a group. The storytelling is cohesive and it is there. I tend to DM a lot, so I'm used to like, this is the answer. Like, and you have to eventually lead them to the answer. And I like the idea that we're kind of contributing to the answer instead of having a predetermined answer. And I think that kind of the interaction between the 4 of us lends itself really well to being able to put these things together in a meaningful way.
I suspect, and I hope I'm right, that when you read this game, you go, well, they're just going to pick somebody and justify the clues. I don't suspect that that's what happens. What I think is going to happen is the 4 of you are going to figure who this was. You're going to go, you know what? I think it was Billy. And here's why. And I think it's going to truly, I'm hoping, mimic that feeling of reading that mystery novel, being the detective. And we'll see, right? We'll see. I think we have the right table to generate that feeling. All right. So a couple random questions. I'm just going to pull these out of a hat real quick. I guess the first one, you know what? Let's do you two first, Maeve. Let's say in theory that not only do I enjoy watching live stream games on Third Floor Wars, but I also enjoy, like when I'm in the car and I can't really watch the screen, I like to listen to live plays, maybe even pre-recorded with actual effects and editing. Is there any actual play podcasts out there that maybe we could recommend to people?
You know, I might know one. Actually, surprisingly enough, it shares my last name.
What?
Yeah, no, crazy.
That's crazy.
So if you would go and look up Foxtail Games Podcast, and that is Tale. Do not look up Foxtail, Tail. It will take you to dark places of the
completely different things.
totally different vibe. But
I'm not on that one.
On all of your podcatchers, that there is a podcast that we do actual plays. And what we do is kind of just like the Third Floor Wars does. We try to showcase these non-D&D, non-big games. Our first game, we had Amy as one of our cast members. Fantastic game. Our own Nick Westbrook was in it. Nathan, who was on Court of Blades, was in it. Absolutely great cast. We played a game called Curse of the House of Rookwood.
Great game.
Gothic horror. Fall of the House of Usher meets Umbrella Academy. Like, just really, really fantastic game. Had an absolute blast. The first season of that is over. We're stepping into our second season where we are playing Slayers. And yeah, Amy's going to be in Slayers. Dave is going to be Dave is in Slayers. It's a lot of fun. Absolutely having a blast. We drop a new episode every 2 weeks. And very soon, Amy and her group are going to be coming over and doing a D&D game that we will be as a separate little entity on our podcast network.
That's
so I'm
great.
kind of like
You can meet my
expanding
people
out.
too.
So please come, find us on Twitter, Foxtail Games Pod. We have a Discord where we talk about this kind of stuff. You can join. It's all in the show notes. Give us some feedback. I love feedback. So check it out.
Beautiful. Okay, one more. We got time for one more thing. Let me just randomly pick somebody out here. All right, Navi. All right. So let me get a random question. Let's say in theory, I'm tired of playing Dungeons and Dragons. I like games that tend to be narrative first, but also mechanically sound. Sometimes I can play with friends. Sometimes I like to play by myself. And let's pretend that I wish there was one place I could go where I'd have a selection of games that possibly would scratch all those itches. Is there any website you would recommend that I could go to?
With a straight face, you're going to ask me that, Craig. So you can find all of the ridiculous games that I've made that cover all of those ridiculous topics and genres at a couple of drakes.com or at a couple of drakes.itch.io, which is the Yield storefront. Tons of games on there. We do it all.
And we are playing one of your games currently on the stream, which is Court of Blades, run by your other half. We are having a freaking blast with it. It's a Forged in the Dark game. I think I mentioned this to Sean, or I hinted it to Sean. It is the single session that has had the biggest impact on me as a GM that I've ever played. So I've had many a GM impact me as how I GM, right? But if someone said to me, what's the one session that's had the biggest impact on you as a GM, by far episode 1, session 1 of Court of Blades. And it was a combination of the system and the way that he's running it. So it's pretty kick-ass.
I was going to drill down, but you got there. I want to know why.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know what it was? And I think I mentioned it during the after credits. Sean showed me aspects of Forged in the Dark that I had overlooked, and even overlooked having read your book. Like he leaned into phases that's in that system and that's in Court of Blades that I have glossed over as many times as I've run Blades. Now having, and it made me realize that I have just begun to scratch the surface of what's possible with that core system, let alone what you guys did and built on top of it.
It's a great system.
It's pretty badass, and it's a badass game. All right, kiddos, you know the routine. Socials, Third Floor Wars, Foxtails, a couple of Drakes. Cannot wait to play with you guys again.
See you guys soon.
Excited.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.